recording this, Premier Doug Ford of Ontario has just declared a state of emergency. It happened just a few moments ago. I watched the press conference live. I talked to you all here a few days ago about how, yet again, Canada had been caught, if you'll forgive the allusion, with its pants down, again, by a crisis that we should have seen coming and didn't. Something that's become clearer as the week has gone by between when I did that video and kind of what brings us to now is the extent to which the Canadian political class not only was caught by surprise, not only failed to be prepared, all of those things, but also once they realized there was a problem, tried to run away from it. In the city of Ottawa on the municipal level, and believe me, I am no expert in municipal affairs in Ottawa. It's not my hometown, not where I live. But it's pretty clear early that officials there wanted someone else to come in and do the work for them. Maybe you can even justify that, saying it was a bigger problem than any one city could cope with on its own. But what about the provincial government? What about the federal government? What about these guys? We have had, when I'm recording this, it's day 14. We're into our third week. We have just had the province of Ontario roll out an emergency order, maybe a court injunction later today, possibly even some enforcement activity later in the day. Maybe. Can't guarantee that. It's just a maybe. During that time, we've had the federal government proposing committees. We have had the federal government, according to reports, asking the Ontario government to step up and do something. We've had the Ontario government going, no, this is a federal problem, you deal with it, and not even showing up at the meetings. The entire time this has been unfolding, we have been presented with one of the most obvious glaring problems we have in our politics. That our politics is so completely detached from reality, winning the political game. You know, a couple extra points in the polls, a few million bucks in donations, some email addresses to add to your mailing list. Every once in a while, maybe even an election, but more to the point, just winning the daily Twitter race. Our politicians play the game of politics, and they don't know that they're actually supposed to be leaders. They're competitors in this game. And we, the public, the media itself, not blameless in this, we treat it as a spectator sport instead of how we choose who will govern us in a democracy. We have completely unserious people in our government at the provincial level in Ontario and at the federal level, conservative provincially, liberal federally, who when presented with this crisis responded by going, yikes, that's that other guy's problem. And we had weeks go by. If we had cleared out Ottawa peacefully, quickly, smoothly, and said, by all means you have a right to protest, by all means you have a right to be loud, wave your placards, march, blow whistles, but don't block the streets and use those air horns. Don't actually colonize outlying sites and build encampments there. Nothing against protesting, but against sort of this the so-called occupation that's set in. If we had had action in days in Ottawa, we would not have borders blocked today in Windsor. We would not have borders blocked in Emerson, Manitoba, or in Coutts, Alberta. If the message gets out that protest is permitted, even loud, rowdy, raucous protest, but that we will not permit lawlessness, we don't have the problems. But unfortunately, we sent the opposite message. When government intervention was required to uphold the rule of law and to maintain the integrity and the authority of the state, no one wanted it. Because either it was politically awkward, or it was hard, or they're so damn naive because all they've ever worried about was winning their next office and they've never thought about big picture concepts like the law in a democracy. They were so stunned into numbness by reality, or they were so desperate to turn this to their political advantage by Trudeau going, hey, we'll have Ford deal with it, or Ford going, hey, I'm going to let you twist in the wind. It's your capital city. Our so-called leaders allowed this to develop into a crisis that sent a signal to anyone at home or abroad who would wish us harm or even just enjoys a bit of chaos that this country is easy pickings, that we are not able or willing to defend ourselves. There will be consequences for this. The Prime Minister of this country should be fired. The Premier of Ontario should be fired. The Mayor of Ottawa should be fired. Ironically, the only guy actually probably will end up getting fired is the chief of the Ottawa Police, because he's probably the only guy in the chain of command anywhere who can be fired. All the others can't be fired. They can be voted out, though, and that's up to us.